Can a cactus, a desert plant, actually get sunburned? Yes, and I'm gonna show you exactly why, down to the molecular level on what's actually happening inside of these plants right here. Hey, what's up? It's Takashi with Cactus Warehouse, and today we're gambling. Just kidding, I'm not actually gambling, but what I am doing today is I'm going to be removing the shade cloth that is protecting these cacti. And the reason I called it a gamble is because today is March 30th and I looked at the weather forecast and we have some cloudy days over the next couple of days, which is usually the best time to remove the shade cloth for a lot of reasons. If you stick around until the end of the video, I'll do a deep dive as to why I'm pulling it off now and how to minimize sunburn in cacti. So as I do this, I'm going to be talking at the same time. Let's start at the very top here. And first, let's talk about why we actually use the shade cloth in the beginning. Biggest reason that we use shade cloth is to promote growth. There's lots of studies that say that if you put shade cloth over your cacti, plants, it can increase the growth by up to 30% or something crazy like that. And as we run a cactus farm, we're trying to get these plants as big as possible so that our customers can be happy. Woo! Look at these beauties. Honestly, it's easier with two people, but as a small team, Lisa's behind the scenes doing the hard work filming. So she normally would be helping me. I had the shade cloth on for about almost a year, 2 years. And we planted these, a lot of these as little baby cacti, a little over seedlings. Don't mind the weeds. We didn't get a chance to weed under this that much. So springtime is officially here, and that's why we're doing this for a bunch of reasons. The main reason that we're actually pulling it off is because a lot of these plants are getting bigger, and you'll notice in a couple different sections where they're going to be almost touching, and we just want to give the plants space to grow. Also, if you ever do anything like this, be sure and be careful to watch out for snakes and things like that. We also held down these shade cloth with little stakes like this to just keep everything secure. It doesn't get too windy, but something like this will definitely do the trick. As you can see, some of these plants are different sizes. A thing to know, they're all planted at the same time here, all typically planted at around the same size. They all are on the same watering schedule, and you can see that some of them are still different sizes. You know, there's a lot of reasons for that, but one of the reasons is like, hey, maybe one of these areas got better drainage. Maybe some of the areas, depending on how like the sprinklers hit them, they just got, you know, better water or whatever the case is. Like, look at this. We did not plant this here. I have no idea how it got here. Just maybe the cacti gods, who knows? The reason I called it a gamble is because when the cacti are under the shade cloth, you're actually protecting it from the sun, and immediate exposure to intense heat will actually damage the cacti and they will burn. And when a plant like this burns, usually that damage is permanent. Now that doesn't mean it's not going to grow, doesn't mean it's going to die, but it's going to have these blemishes and sunburns that will last a lifetime. So I'm saying I looked up the weather forecast and it said that it was going to be mainly cloudy and not too hot. So that's what made me decide to gamble and just do it. If the weather forecast is wrong, I'll be screwed and I could potentially burn everything here. I don't think that's going to happen though, so you know, it's a calculated risk. I got real caveman with it and ran out of a few of those stakes and just went rocks as weights. And I think what's cool, honestly, for you guys to see is I am by no means an expert at this. So along this journey of taking care of a cactus farm, I make a lot of mistakes. There's probably a million things that I could have done better. But personally, a life philosophy that I have, I don't know if it's a life philosophy, but I personally just learn the best when I do it and make mistakes. Sometimes that sucks because making mistakes sucks. It could cost time, money, and maybe with more experience, I'll be able to limit mistakes by, you know, following the advice of experts and things like that. But right now it just like doesn't stick unless I personally make the mistakes. I feel like the lessons are not learned. So, you know, I'm aware of that myself and I use it to my advantage. And later I'll come back and weed this area, clean this area up, try to fix a little bit of the erosion. So I'm not perfect, right? Like right here, these are plants that just didn't make it and they died along the way. RIP. But many of its brothers and sisters are healthy. Honestly, I feel like this first section, a lot of the plants may have not made it. I think the biggest reason for that is because this is the steepest part of the hill, so the water runoff could have been the most intense. When I planted, I could have just, you know, just did the worst job on this section specifically, so lots of reasons, but yeah. Also, a cool thing about doing this, I planted these like 2 years ago and honestly forgot what was planted, so it's cool to see. Obviously, we got my favorite, the golden barrel. We got a couple of other ones too, like the blue barrel, some pharaoh cactus in there. Woo, look at all these beauties.
So we also have some penis cactus right here. And I'm gonna be honest, guys. I thought that these were not gonna make it because at one point when we came down here to check on everything up there that you see was like thriving. You could see under the shade cloth that it was like making moves, it was growing. And these guys, whew, they looked like they were hurting. It did not look promising, and I was really sad because I didn't think they were gonna make it. But I was wrong. Look at that guy. Look at all these guys. They all made it. Well, not all, but most made it, which is exciting. Another joy of the cacti is that they just don't die. And that was my dad yelling. He's the person who planted and had this crazy idea for all of us. So thanks, Dad, I guess. Yep. Back to the penis cactus. He was actually the one who bought all the penis cactus, thinking all the seeds and everything. Takeshi and I were like, I don't know about this one. He was like, no, it's a great one. People will love it. And he was right. Again. Hopefully he doesn't watch this to hear me say that he was right.
Okay. Just finished taking off the shade cloth and I'm sweaty or I'm glistening. It's all about perspective. No, I'm sweaty right now. But let's take a look at some of these and let's talk about it. So look at these penis cactus right here. This is really cool because I can show you later a big like 20 to 40 clump that we had. We cut apart and we just, we did cuttings. So we let them calcify and then we planted them. It was just a single piece, each one. And now that you can see, they've grown into multiple nodes. Infinite cacti. This is actually the short form. You might not be able to tell because this one's looking a little long, but the reason this happened is because The reason why it's stretched out like this is because it was searching for light under the shade cloth. Some of the pros to using shade cloth: faster growth. A con, if you can really say that, is that sometimes if you see irregular growth like this or not its natural growth shape, it's just gonna, what this means right here is that it's stretching and searching for the light. Hopefully over time it's gonna get back into more of its natural shape. And you might see that with a couple of the cacti under the shade cloth, that it just kind of grew a little bit irregular. But honestly, personally, I think it gives it a little bit of character, right? It's not boring, right? It's fun. So as we walk through, we got some ball cactus, like I said, the blue ones. We got a lot of mammillarias. I want to show you a close-up of them in a second here, because these, honestly, they grew like crazy in this section. Got some owl's eyes. Look at these mammillarias, absolutely beautiful. Like, this is, wow. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Look at these ladyfinger mammillarias. Oh my goodness, beautiful. These are massive. This is incredible. And I gotta up the size on our website.
Yeah.
This is, no wonder people be leaving good reviews. This is way bigger than what it says on the website. Oh my gosh, mistakes were made.
Oh, some more white spine behind you.
Yeah, honestly, so like this section got destroyed. Like I said, I'm learning, right? Erosion. You can see that a lot of the plants didn't make it here. I tried to use some of that to build a wall to stop the rain and the natural erosion and the natural fall line, but it wasn't good enough. So all that means is I learn, I pivot, I think about what to do next season, and hopefully I don't make the same mistakes. Maybe I just won't plant here, who knows? But yeah, but at least I know where it's occurring.
Honestly, this section looks phenomenal.
This right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at this.
These reds are pretty.
Mexican lime.
Yeah.
Pharaoh cactus species. Look at them. Beautiful. Oh my gosh.
And all the flowering mammillarias over there.
A big reason that we actually take off the shade cloth, as you can see here, look at this, this red barrel section, this Pharaoh cactus section. They're getting pretty close, which means I have to relocate them to a different section where they have more space to grow. So that's one of the areas, or one of the reasons that I took off the shade cloth. But another reason...
Good thing we have that whole cliff over there.
Yeah, exactly. But another reason, we like to sell landscape ready plants, and all that means is that they're not gonna sunburn. I also don't want to keep the shade cloth on there too long, because as you saw with some of those other cacti, like the penis cacti, the growth pattern was irregular. These are more, especially in the beginning stages, more of a spherical ball type shape, and I don't want it to grow too much like a columnar cactus. Look at this, get a close up.
Some Easter lilies.
We're probably gonna get a beautiful, beautiful bloom right there.
But at night, because they're night bloomers. Oh, another one.
Yeah.
Right here. They probably have been blooming at night, actually, and closing up during the day. And probably even more so now that we took the shade cloth off, because the sun is on it. I love these, actually. These might be some of my favorite.
Look at these fat old mammillarias. They're the size of my... Sometimes, you know, you'll get something that clusters or just irregular growth like that looks super cool. I put them on our site as like one of a kind, because truly it's like the only one that's like this in this whole section. And so people like that. And I like to give the people what they want. So here's the thing that actually trips everybody up. Most people will see a cacti and these desert plants, and you're thinking, yeah, they're in the desert. Of course they're gonna be able to handle full sun. And that's true for well-established plants, but for a young plant, a plant that's been recently transplanted or just grown in any kind of filtered light, that's not always the case. These plants have literally rewired their internal biology to work in lower level light. And if you just throw them into the unfiltered full sun without any warning, like a crazy person, well, yeah, you're gonna fry them, okay? That's just what's gonna happen. So let me show you what I mean, and let's dive into the actual biology of this. That's why I got my laptop here, because I need to do a little research myself. And I also think that you guys will find this really fascinating. So inside every plant, there's tiny organelles called chloroplasts. These are the engines of photosynthesis. They're what turns the sunlight, the water, and the CO2 into sugar that the plant uses to grow. Let's get into the actual biology here, because I think it is fascinating. Inside every plant, there's these tiny organelles called chloroplasts. These are the engines of photosynthesis. They reorient themselves, turning sideways, moving to cell edges to reduce how much of that light they're absorbing. That's like the super complicated techie version. I'll put it in the description so you can read it in detail if you want. This is the 5th grade, dumbed down, super simple version. I like receiving information in this fashion. Imagine inside of like every leaf or cactus body, there are these like tiny little workers, right? Ooh, little tiny worker, yeah. And their whole job is to catch the sunlight and turn it into food for the plant. When the plants are sitting in the shade, those workers go, there's not so much sun to work with here, and we need to work harder. What they do is they build bigger mitts. So think about baseball, right? They're going from maybe something like this size to something, boom, bigger, so that they can work harder and catch more light. Now imagine somebody just takes that shade cloth away, kind of like I did earlier, right? And full, harsh, unfiltered sun, boom, just hitting these plants, right? And now, like these tiny workers, they got these big mitts and they're like, oh my gosh, this is way too much light. This is way more than I can catch. They're freaking out. They have no idea what to do. It's just crazy it's just a crazy world up in here, you can imagine. And when all this craziness is happening and this overflow of that light is actually what's gonna cause the damage. So if you ever see like scorched, bleached, burnt pieces on a cacti, like that is like what is happening. So yeah, that damage is happening at a microscopic level. The good news is the plants, they do have a defense system for this, but it's kind of like a muscle that you got to train, right? And the training, that's something that has to be gradual. You have to gradually train it, just how you would working out, you know? I'm not going to never go to the gym and immediately bench press 350 pounds. I'm gonna start with the bar, because that's where I'm at right now. And I'll gradually train and build up towards that and get stronger and stronger. So how you would do this for the plant is you're just gonna wanna give it a little bit more sunlight each day and gradually introduce the plants into the sun. The reason why I took off the shade cloth is because over the next couple of days, we're getting overcast. We may even get a little bit of rain. So it's perfect. It's not gonna be this harsh, intense sun. And we had a big 5-day window of that. So that's why I decided to do it. So when you're giving it a little bit more sun each day, those tiny workers, their mitts are also shrinking each day too. And it's building kind of like a sunscreen inside and learning how to protect itself. And if you rush that process, that's simply where you burn the plants. And honestly, that's why a lot of people love our cacti. They're landscape ready, meaning they're literally grown outside here in the Fallbrook sun. And so they're already used to the sun. And a lot of people, some of our customers, I mean, they're gonna put them inside regardless, so like that's fine. But if you wanted to like immediately like put them outside, like our plants are ready for that for the most part. So right now you might be thinking, well, what are the signs and how do you know if your cactus is actually getting burned? The first thing that you're gonna see is discoloration. Actually, this plant right here, unfortunately, I put it outside on a sunny day for like 1 day and I forgot about it. That sucks, but for the purposes of this video, it's actually a great example of a little bit of discoloration. Usually it's like bleached, pale, yellowing area. That's typical. Typically shows up on the side of the plant that is facing the sun directly. So right here, So that's the side that was facing the sun. And then obviously this side looks different because this was the opposite side. And as it gets worse, that area it'll turn brown and then it'll start to tan. Let me actually just go out there and just show you that papery dried texture right now. This one that I'm about to show you, I forgot where I got it from, but it was from a nursery and it was grown in a greenhouse. Hey, nothing wrong with that, but it was just grown under a filtered light. And then I immediately just planted it out in the harsh sun. I can't remember why I did that. Boom, that is scorched. But you can see, so like when I planted this originally, it burned right away, but hey, it still started to grow, baby. We back. This cactus is like, hey, we back. We got a little battle trauma, but we back. Battle trauma, but I'm here because I'm a cactus and I'm resilient, baby. Yeah. Here's the important thing to know. That damage that you just saw right there is permanent, like a tattoo. That cactus won't heal that specific piece of tissue. It'll just callus over, but as you can see, the plant can survive, especially if the roots are healthy, but the cosmetic damages will stay, which is why I want to stay strategic about how I removed my shade cloth, and you guys should be careful too. So now we talked about what happens when a cactus or a plant gets too much light immediately. The flip side of that is something called etiolation. Now, what does that fancy word mean? If you put a cactus into too much shade or somewhere where it's just not getting enough light at all, the plant will start stretching like up and like just searching for like any kind of light that it can. And sometimes the cactus or the plant is not going to grow to its like natural form. And that is what's called the etiolation. So it would like the new growth is becoming elongated and just like long. Honestly, sometimes people think it's kind of like alien looking, which you can think is cool or whatever, compared to like the compact, dense growth. So whenever you see that, that is the plant's survival instinct, and it's telling you, hey, buddy, pal, I need more light, right? So, I mean, it can ruin like the shape of the plant. And if you've got a more rare or ornamental cacti, the etiolation kind of tanks the aesthetic value entirely. So the shade cloth actually hits this sweet spot where it reduces the intensity of the light, especially for the young plants, which can protect them from burning, while still providing enough light that the plant doesn't stretch. But that's not always the case, but that's typically like the balance that I'm chasing. Here's what you guys need to know. Any cactus that's been in a greenhouse, a nursery that's indoors, grown under grow light, under shade or shade cloth, needs to be acclimated before it goes into the full sun. Give it time, give it a few weeks minimum. Start with morning sun only. So if you have your plants in a pot, you can do like just a few hours in the morning when it's not that intense. Train it, make it stronger, right? But then when the heat gets intense, you know, just put it back. The light before 10 a.m. typically tends to be a lot softer. And then just gradually increase the exposure. And then watch for that first sign of discoloration. And if you start to see that, just back off, right? Just back off. And for anybody that's doing shade cloth, if you're doing seedlings or recently transplanted cacti, a 30 to 50% shade cloth is a great tool. It lets enough light through so that the plants won't stretch, but it filters out enough intensity so that your young plants can build photosynthetic machinery safely. Pretty much is just gonna protect it, and it's not gonna be too intense, and it's not gonna burn it, but it's gonna give it enough light so that it can do its thing and jam and look all pretty and cool and stuff. The goal is for the plant to be ready for anything. Full sun, landscaping conditions, no hand holding, that's what I'm building here. If you thought that video was helpful and you enjoyed it, like and subscribe, because I'm gonna be doing a lot more, and then you can learn a lot more. And then maybe you can give me ideas, and then I'll turn those ideas into videos, and then you'll watch it and you'll be like, oh, that was my idea, now he's making a cool video, shout out, you know. Yeah, anyways, peace.